So, and then going to your body, because I'm going to focus a little bit on your biomechanics and your
Yeah.
position before we get into
Yeah.
any movements.
So one thing, actually, speaking of body, I'm having trouble finding or maintaining consistently a neutral seat.
Okay?
So I have somewhat of a deep arch in my back.
Yep. A little hollow
So I
back.
have a tendency to sometimes,
Right. Perch a little forward and get more hollow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Especially if there's something that's too hard, or I'm trying to, figure out if I had a brain fart and shoulder it fast, I'm like, oh.
Yep, and you
like, what do I
revert
need
to your old ways, and you just kind of forget about using your body, right? Yeah. So, and then into talking about like marijuana stuff. Has your coach, what is some of the stuff that you've worked on in your position that, or has she?
Yeah. So from a positioning standpoint, it's been I'm ashamed to say repetitive.
Yeah, it is
but
for a while.
In trying to get this where I think I feel I'm so far back, but on my seat bone and being back more, I guess. How can I describe it?
Okay.
Pelvis not so tilt too
Tilted
much,
forward,
but up and forward, and then also tension in the leg.
Yep, keeping some toneness there.
Yeah.
I agree.
So what was a breakthrough actually 2 weeks ago? I'm in the saddle and I just decided to spread my toes.
Aha. Yeah.
And I was like,
Something changed.
something changed. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and halt here actually. And I want to work on your position a little bit. So you were saying of getting your seat bones more on the saddle, you felt like you were having to lean back more. So
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like, okay, so I'm thinking like this is neutral where I'm at.
yes, that's actually really good.
Okay.
Quite straight.
Yeah.
Now, when you were telling me that earlier, you started to lean
But
back
when I'm in
more.
movement, I tend to feel like I need to be more here as I'm, like, say, if I'm in sitting trot. I feel like I need to be more here to get better movement. Perhaps I just need to train and get that muscle memory that I need to be here.
Yes. Yep. I agree with that. So
Okay.
not the going back more.
Yeah.
So I want to keep you in a neutral spine in everything you do. So spine
Okay.
straight down.
Okay.
If you get too far back or too far forward, you're changing where your balance is completely on the horse.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep that straight down.
Line,
Think
okay.
about your seat bones if they had a flashlight pointing down each one of them. And I want you to go, so where that beam of light points, where would that beam of light point right now? Straight
Right
down?
Yeah.
Now go to where you would want to do it, like a little hollow back. What's easier for you? So yeah, like that, exactly. And the
And
beams of
it'll be
light point
slightly,
behind you.
yeah.
Now go the opposite way, tuck under too much, and they point forwards. So too much pointing forward, too much pointing back, not good. Straight down is right. Yes,
Okay.
that's quite good. Now,
Okay.
have you ever heard the term bear down?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So my instructor would tell me all the time, pretend like you're pushing out a watermelon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she'd be like, bear down, and I just couldn't get it.
Okay.
And then one day I was like, let me just go to this podcast. So finally I got that it is not the contraction, which for many years I was doing,
Yep.
of so contracted, but it's
Exactly. The push, expand.
that feeling of it's like you are contracting and expanding at the same
Yep.
time.
Yep.
So yes,
can I
I
push on
ride
your
it.
core and your back? And,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I want to do it, and I want you to
I like to
so lift
be
your hand up here.
close.
I'm gonna push in. And what's your bear down number here?
I don't know.
So 10 is the max you can do. 1 is the least you can do. Go to the max. Vroom. Yep.
It's my max.
Yep. Now go to a 5. Yeah. Now breathe like you're breathing through a straw. Force the air out. Force the air in. Now go 5, 6, 7. Good. And stay breathing. Yes. So your goal is that you don't go to a 9 or a 10 and stop breathing. Anytime you strengthen up more, you have to keep breathing, or else you're going to only go for 30 seconds and you gasp again, and then you lose your core strength.
Yeah.
So that core needs to stay firm the whole time. My golden rule is that your core needs to be stronger than you're holding the rein,
Yeah.
and stronger than the energy of the horse going forwards. So the way you think about that is if you're standing on a train or something and it's ready to go, you wouldn't just relax. You have firmness to your body to go with, or else you get left behind.
Yeah.
So same
Yeah.
idea. You have to be like, I'm ready to go. I engage myself, and we go forwards,
Right.
or else you get, rocked back. And then holding the rein number is 1 to a 10. 10 is the max you can hold. 1 is the least you can hold. And you want to be making sure your core is stronger than whatever your hand is.
Okay.
So if you get to a 10, there's nowhere else to go. The horse is going to go to 11, 12, 13, right? They can way overpower us. So
Yes.
you're trying to not ever have to get that strong.
Yeah.
But your core just needs to be matching that. And then your hips, so your thighs. Your knees like to turn out a little bit, like I can
Yeah.
see, and your toes turn in. So you're trying to go rotate in and close that. And you might feel a little bit of a burn through the hip flexor up the front, and maybe even through the glute in the back. As those knees rotate in, I'm trying to keep a little bit of thigh pressure always on the saddle. And can you keep your thigh attached, or your knee attached? Yeah. So I like to think about your knees being clipped into like a windshield wiper. Imagine how it's at the base of the windshield, and then it goes wipe, 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 but it's always in one spot.
Yes.
So if your knee is like screwed in right here, doesn't get tighter, doesn't get looser, it just stays
Gotcha.
attached there.
Yeah.
So if you pinch on, then that's too tight.
Yeah.
Take your knee off like you would want to be, it's too loose.
Yeah.
So we got to be just a little bit more firm of the rotate in, almost as if you could be, pigeon-toed. That way you keep yourself more in, and you want to be a little bit opposite. So when you're more opposite, you have less thigh control in the saddle.
Yes.
And then you're going to wobble more.
Okay.
Yeah, so narrowness. You close that on a little bit. If you
Okay.
close too tight, I'll tell you, most people end up needing to be a little more firm
Yeah.
than they think. So we'll go ahead and walk forward. And what I want you to focus on right at the beginning is, what is your bear down number? And do you have your thighs attached? So what's your bear down number now?
About a 6.
Okay. And are you still breathing the same way?
Yeah.
Good. How hard is a 6 to do?
Not hard.
Okay, good. Where are your flashlights pointing from your sit bones?
Down.
Yep. And I actually think almost sometimes a little in front of you. So you might need to point them a tiny bit back there without leaning your upper body forward though. Just the rotation of the pelvis. Good. So you keep that low back filled in. Yep. Very good. Do you feel like one thigh is stronger than the other? Or
Yes.
which one?
My right.
Okay. Do you feel like it's more attached to the saddle, or is it just stronger trying to attach the saddle?
Actually, then my left is stronger.
Okay.
Where I can keep it more in line than my right.
So you can keep it more on the saddle than the
Yeah.
right one.
Yeah.
And you have to work harder at the right one
Yes.
to get it attached.
Yeah.
That's what I felt later. You were able to close the left one on,
Yeah.
and the right one had to be, like it wanted to stay more kneed out. So you're going to be thinking, keep turning those knees in and keep the firmness of that right thigh.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to take this to trot rising, and I'm going to see if you can maintain the balance there and the strength. So, as you're riding along here, what's your bear down number?
4.
Okay, so we just need a little more energy up. So I think it should be a 5 or a 6 in your bear down. And I want you to think about rising with firm thigh. So steer them out a little bit bigger, nice big 20-meter circle. And think about every time you stand up, how much weight is in your thigh and how much weight's in your stirrup every time you stand. So out of 100%, give me a percentage number. Is it 50-50? Is it more on your stirrup? Is it more on your thigh?
Now in my thigh.
Okay. How much more? Soften your hands a little bit. Let's go ahead and change directions. You got to get them kind of marching on a little bit and get them flowing forwards. And then it will help to get the strength. How do you feel generally, confidence-wise?
Okay. He has a lot more impulsion than I'm used to.
Okay. Yep. Posting diagonal. So the spring of the horse is a little more powerful.
Yeah.
Yep. So that means you need to take more power in your thighs, and you have to thrust with more power up and over, not faster, but think about the windshield wiper. When you turn it on slow, it goes the full distance. When you turn it on fast, it goes the full distance. So think sit, rise, the full distance, all the way to the bottom and all the way to the top. Then you got to plug down a little bit more on the sit. There. Sit, rise, sit, rise, sit, rise. Good job. Good job. Sit, rise. And we want to be thinking that even though this is more trot than maybe you're used to, for him, he needs to go a tiny bit more forward to help get that trot more smooth and getting him actually using his body. Let's think about if you had a bungee cord wrapped around your waist and it's attached to the back of the saddle.
Yeah.
Every time you thrust up, this bungee cord's trying to hold you down.
Right.
And you need to thrust and pull the bungee cord and not let it snap you back down. So you need to put more, so quiet your walk here. You're kind of thrusting along. If you need to, just give him a bump with the leg and quiet then. Yep, sit there a little bit nice and quiet. But then for the trot rising again, it's thrust up and take that bungee cord up and over. Now, have you heard about the percentage of weight between your thigh and your stirrups, like how much you want to be on the rise?
No.
Okay, so my ideal is 80% in the thigh, 20% in the stirrup.
Okay.
And it's kind of hard at first.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost as if you're riding with no stirrups.
Yeah.
Like 100% thigh would be no stirrups.
Yeah.
But most people start off 50-50 or even more in the stirrup. You're heavier in the stirrup and lighter in the thigh.
Yeah.
And we're trying to snug the thighs on and go, can I keep my thigh in one spot and thrust over top of my knees?
Okay.
Because you're trying not to use your stirrups to get up.
Yes.
You're trying to go, if my knees are clipped into the iron bar, I thrust up and over that, this doesn't move.
Yes.
As if your lower leg was amputated and you didn't have it. Okay, so this takes a lot of knees turned in for you, especially that right knee probably. And then we're gonna go ahead and thrust over top those knees, pulling the bungee cord, trying to make the circle nice and big. Now, as you're having him walk forward here, what are you doing to keep him walking forward?
I'm tapping it with my leg.
What is
Actually,
your seat doing?
It's just moving along.
Okay, it looks like you're driving along a little bit, like you're kind of thrusting your seat a little bit. So I kind of want you to soften that thrust with your seat.
Okay.
And give him a little bump with both legs, just like bump, and maybe squeeze your lower legs back a tiny bit, and just squeeze a little bit, yeah. He's a little bit more sensitive to a little bit more of a squeeze instead of a kick.
Okay.
And your seat bones
he hears that.
need to follow him, but they need to be a little bit more still. That's better, that's better. And the next round, I'll come back and we'll do some talking about the walk a little bit more. So when you're ready, you can take this to trot rising again. Okay, so as you're rising here, what's that weight on your thigh versus your stirrup? What's that percentage?
Maybe 60.
Okay, 60 in the thigh, 40 in the stirrup.
Yeah.
And how do the stirrup lengths feel?
They feel okay. I feel like if I go to one up, it'll be a little too short.
I think so. I mean, it's a little like it's hard to keep your toes up. That's better, that's better. If you focus on it, you can do it. So your knees stay in one spot. Your toes stay up as if you're standing on the ground and you're just thrusting over your knee. So your foot's standing flat on the ground. Yep, good. And you're going 60-40, 70-30 in the thigh. Pull that bungee cord, thrust, pull the bungee cord, foot light. Pull the bungee cord, foot flat. Pull the bungee cord, foot light. Yeah, very good. Now what's that number?
I am in my bear down about 7.
Okay, and then in your
My
thighs?
thigh, about the same.
Okay, so 70-30 in the
Yeah.
thigh. Excellent. Keep working towards that. And how hard was that?
Very.
Okay, I believe it. When you're ready, you get ready for a walk transition. 70-30, strong bungee cord, and transition down by tucking your sit bones under just a little bit. Yeah,
Whew.
it's okay. Came down a little bit like whoomph, but
Yeah,
that's totally
yeah.
fine. You get to feel him a little bit.
I just need to come here for like summer camp.
Some boot camp and
Some
boom,
boot
boom, boom.
Oh, this boy, wow.
So in the walk, actually you can go ahead and halt for a second. I want you to think about your sit bones walking together. So there's a little bit of, instead of drive,
Yeah.
driving going on, we're trying to walk each sit bone a little bit. So you have your right one goes in and up, left one goes in and up. A little bit like it walks, you know, very slightly walking with the motion of the horse. A little side to side, a little forward, back, and a little up, down. That all has to go together. So I want you to think about, as you're walking, your one sit bone follows the opposite shoulder, and then the
Okay.
opposite sit bone follows the opposite shoulder.
Okay.
Now I want you to walk on and go ahead and move a bit for this point of feeling it.
Okay.
So the sit bone that should be following is the right and left and right and left and right and left and right and left and right and left. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
They kind of swing In and up, in and up, in and up, in and
Yes.
up. Good. So there's less of a driving seat now and more of a walking sit. You were walking your sit bones along with him. Now cut that movement in half. Still keep walking though. Cut your movement in half again. Yeah, you still keep walking your sit bones, but it's much more like I don't see as much what you're doing. You're trying to control that to make it look like you're hardly doing anything. You're moving much less because the less you move on his back, the better his balance can stay.
Okay.
As long as you're walking and moving with him exactly. If you start to add a lot more movement, then you throw their balance off a lot. So you're walking the sit bones here. Can you call out to me which side is walking?
Left, right, left, right, left, right.
So you could feel it on both, but I actually want you to think about the opposite of that beat. It would be right and left and right and left and right and left. And think about your sit bones following the opposite shoulder. So as this left leg swings, your right leg goes towards it. As the right leg swings, your left leg goes towards, or your left sit bone goes towards it. So right and left, right, left. Perfect.
Right, left, right, left, right, left.
Good.
Right.
Bear down number?
4.
Okay. Flashlight still pointing straight down?
Yes.
Little hollow in your back, so just tuck under with your sit bone a little bit and bring your sternum a little bit down. Think an ab crunch. Very beginnings of an ab crunch. So sternum gets a little shorter. Yeah. Yeah. And I want your thighs, your entire inner thigh should be attached on that saddle. And then from about halfway down your calf should no longer touch the horse. So the second half of your calf down to your heel doesn't touch unless you needed the aid on. Yeah. So notice when you did that, he got a little softer.
Yes.
You took your leg off and he's like, oh, okay. I think you were squeezing a little too much with your lower leg. Good job. Low back stays filled in. Yep, which means tuck your pelvis under a little bit. Excellent. And at the same time when you do that, you have to be careful because so look at me for a second. When you tuck your pelvis under, you did this.
Okay.
And you got to tuck your pelvis under, but bring your sternum down a little bit and keep yourself from falling behind the motion. Has anyone ever pushed on your collarbone?
No.
Okay, come over to the middle. I'm going to push on your collarbone.
Okay.
Okay. So, is it okay if I push on your collarbone?
No, not at all.
Yes or no?
No, not at all.
Okay. So stay straight, and I'm going to push on you, and I want you to resist my push. Ah, very good. What's holding you here?
My whole core system.
And when you
And
do
lower
that,
back.
right, your low back gets strong, your core gets more firm.
Yeah.
So I want you thinking about you're going along. When you fill in your low back, release your glutes a little bit. So sink down. Yep. And your low back. This is a little hollow, so go back towards me. And then at the same time, go forward towards me. Push me forward. So you have a resist here and a resist here. A little bit more in the front. Push forward. Yep. As you push forward, your low back stays filled in. So it looks like hollow to resist, fill in.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit tuck under, and at the same time resist forward so you don't grow taller in your upper body.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit short in the front of your body. Very good.
Okay.
Because it's a little easy for you to go here.
Yes.
And when you go here, that automatically hollows your low back.
Yeah.
So you're trying to go shorten
Yeah.
and tuck, fill that in a little bit. Yep, and then you feel the core really engaging to keep you strong.
Right.
So back to the circle, and what's your bear down number?
6.
Okay, low back and your sternum down. You have that together, good job. Do you feel like you're ab crunching a little bit?
No.
So feel like the beginning stages of an ab crunch. You would shorten yourself a little bit, just a little bit, because I don't want you to collapse in the front either.
Okay.
Firm front wall. Think about if I would push on your collarbone, you would not be pushed back. But I don't want you to lean forward, so don't go more. Yeah, exactly. Stay right there. And a really good way to think about it is if you're at the beach and a wave's coming at you or something and you're like, oh, don't let the wave knock me backwards.
Okay.
So you have a firm wall, but you also don't lean forward too much. Yeah, good job. Now we're going to take this back to rising again, back to rising trot. Thinking about the iron bars between your knees, your front wall strong. Excellent. Now that's already stronger looking. but your toes are a little bit down. Just kind of balance, thinking about your thighs strong, your core powerful, and you're pulling that bungee cord up and over, up and over, up and over. Good job. Now, if you want him to go faster, what would you do?
Move.
Like thrust more, pull the bungee cord more?
Yeah.
Exactly, right. And then if you want him to slow down, you're going to pull the bungee cord more firmly, but slow your rising. Very good. Now, quicken the trot a little bit. We're going to get him a little more forward by thrusting that bungee cord. Excellent. Bear down number?
7.
Okay, and your weight on your thigh versus your stirrup?
60.
Okay, 60-40. Can you go 70-30 or 65? Just strong, strong, toe up. And get ready for walk transition. Bear down, toe up, thigh firm. And you're going to come down a little half halt, close your thigh, tuck. Good job. You sat down pretty well into that.
Yeah.
A little forward, and then you go sink down, which is fine. Now let's change directions.
Okay.
Now, do you find it easier or harder this direction?
Harder.
Okay. Your outside thigh, do you have that attached?
Now I do.
Okay. And that made it look a little bit better, but there's almost like a little double bounce when you sit sometimes.
Yeah.
So you need to thrust a little higher. There, up and over, up, there we go. This is better. Both thighs powering, especially that outside one, and thrust. Pull the bungee cord, pull the bungee cord, pull the bungee cord. Steer him bigger in the circle. Yeah, shift a little right. Make sure your right heel is down, your right toes are up. Double bounce again, so you're trying to go thrust, thrust. There, that's better, more clear. And when he pulls you forward and your heels slip back a little bit, you've got to firm your thigh up and put your heel down. Yeah, and then you thrust more. There you go, there you go. Feel that?
Yes.
That's better, and we get a little more forward energy in the trot too. Yep, be ready to thrust up and over, up and over, up and over. Yeah. Okay, go get ready for a walk transition. So a little tip forward into that. So what's happening in the trot rising is you're going up, but you're almost staying a little bit too tipped forward.
Okay.
So I want a little bit more. Imagine you have a hook on your belt buckle, and as you thrust, it's like thrust up,
Okay.
up and over. So you got to be leading with your belt buckle a little bit.
Okay. So navel out a little bit.
The idea, yeah. I don't want you sticking your stomach out, but the idea that the navel can lead the way or your pelvis can lead the way in the front.
Okay.
Yep, good. So pelvis, up, thrust it up. There you go. That's better. Keep pulling that belt hook up. There, belt hook, hook up, hook up, hook up. There you go. Yep, keep pulling that up. Yeah, that's okay. And when you go more powerful in that hook up, just make sure you're not zipping him forward. Just a little bit up and over. Pull the belt hook. Yep, yep. Belt to the sky. Belt to there, there. Now what's the weight in your thigh versus your stirrup?
It's very light in my stirrup now.
Good. Belt hook. Good job. Good job. That changes the rotation of your pelvis. And if it gets a little hard, no worries. You reorganize and come back. And I don't know where you're at stamina-wise, so I forgot to say this. Usually I say at the very beginning that you come back before you get too tired to do a good transition.
Yeah.
Think about the back of your seat. If you had full seat breeches on, like you want that full seat breech line to touch the saddle a little bit, without leaning back though. So yep, it's that tuck the rotation of the pelvis, tuck it under a little bit. Yep, good job. And let's go ahead and halt for a second, and I want you to think about your thigh snugging on. So in the halt coming up here, I want you to put both reins in one hand and reach across the saddle, grab the pad in front, and pull. And feel one leg snug on. Which leg snugs on more for you? Left one. Swap hands and do the same thing. Do you feel the right one? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they can equally snug on when you do that?
But this one's more dominant.
Okay. So you have to constantly be working at the right one.
Yeah.
Making sure that stays snugged on, because the moment when you go to trot rising, especially to the left and your right one's the outside one, then it's like you want to flip over a little bit.
Yes.
And not quite as, you got to snug that one on so then they can thrust up together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the dominant one, it's not so bad when you're tracking right because it's on the outside. It keeps you more stable on the outside. But
I
your
need to
new
think
outside.
about it more because I have scoliosis light.
Okay.
So I do need to now consciously think about it repetitively more, that I drop more on the side.
Yes, because the right thigh is not there, so then the left one's trying to do all the job.
Yes.
And either you're going to pull yourself left or you're going to drop yourself right.
Yeah.
So we got to snug them up and be more narrow together.
Okay.
Another thing to sort of think about that is imagine you could cut your body into 3 parts. So you have your left side, your middle side, and your right side.
Yeah.
And you have a board that could come down, in the 2 boards that could come down, and these boards need to equally push together. One of your boards pushes more than the other, and it's most likely your left one is like, whoomp, and your right one's going, ah. So you need to go, left one is strong, the right side needs to snug up. So the board would come through about right here, and then about right here. I can't reach exactly, but all the way down. And you need to feel like these 2 boards have to equally compress.
Okay.
And then it translates down to your thighs a little bit as well, because then you got to keep the thighs a little bit snug. But it is slightly different, but they can help you to stay together. Okay. So go ahead. Let's go ahead and try. How do you feel like you could do sitting trot on him?
I think it'd be
Give it a try.
easier than my current man.
Okay. So a little bit of bear down. Good. That's okay. Just soft. So you bear down, soften your hands a little bit. Don't hold too much. Good job. And you slightly tuck under with your sit bones. Good job. Your bear down number here, doesn't matter. Gently ease in with the lower leg. Keep those thighs. Good. Toes lifting. And he wants to crash into us, so I want you to really steer him out. But that might be because you're heavier on the left sit bone. Can you get heavier on the right sit bone?
Let me get my syrup again to help me balance that out.
Yep. So if you shift one way more,
Yeah, he's super sensitive.
you're going to pull him that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's a pretty sensitive guy. Yeah. So think about, as you're going along here, is one sit bone heavier than the other?
Yes.
Which one?
It is.
Left?
My left.
Can you get the right one? Shift it a little bit right. Snug the right thigh on to keep you on the right side.
Okay.
And think about, now let's go to that trot sitting. Keep the right side. Gentle with your inside leg. You gently push him out, but sit right a little bit. Yeah, you can leg yield him out. That's okay. Then he goes too much. Then we need the outside rein more. No worries. And you're going to go right outside sit bone, inside lower leg, outside thigh. Inside lower leg, outside thigh. Tuck your sit bones under a little bit. That's right. Now go rising trot. Yep. And we're going to keep the outside rein, keep the outside thigh, and ask for that trot to go more forward. I want you to pull the bungee cord more. Yeah, nice and easy. Don't get left behind. I want the down and the upbeat to be about equal, but you have to thrust up more powerfully and not let yourself come down on the heavy side. Yep, you go thrust, soft, thrust, soft, thrust, soft. Good. Belt hook, up, thrust. There, that's better. Pull it up, pull it up. There you go. Good job. Foot light. Get ready for downward transition. Go sitting trot a couple steps. Close your thighs, breathe out. Yeah, it's okay. You got tipped forward, right?
Yeah.
So you needed to bear down, breathe out, plug back. Do that transition again when you're ready. Diagonal. Good. So we're going to go your bear down a little bit more engaged, maybe 7, 8, or 9. It's going to be hard. Breathe. Get ready to tuck under. So that was better than the last one.
It was.
But he got a little bit, as you sat, he just kind of splatted underneath of you.
Yeah.
You got to hold yourself a little more firm. And I know going from rising trot to sitting trot is a little bit hard. Think about tucking under more in the back as you come for your downwards. Think ready and half halt, breathe out. Tuck under, half halt, keep your outside rein, and half halt. Yep, yep. So that one,
really
like you didn't splat on that one as much, but he started to drift because you also kind of didn't signal him to come down very well.
Okay.
Like he was kind of thinking, oh, should I keep going or drift out?
Okay.
So we've got to be a little bit more clear about the leg can come off, half halt, breathe out, and close your thigh more. So I want you to close your thighs more firmly for the downward transition, but not your heels. So go just straight to sitting trot and then back to walk. And now a walk transition. Bear down, breathe. That was better. You kept yourself there more balanced. Do that again. And get ready for walk transition. Breathe out, close your thigh, tuck under, half halt, soften your hands. If you hold too much in your hands, he braces against you and he keeps going. Let's change directions. because you get a little bit, just everything kind of goes, I'm going to hold on a little bit and then get a little tight.
Yeah.
So we've got to be finding that firmness in the core, the firmness in the thighs, the lower legs that need to come off a little bit more, and then clear aid, take the aid off.
Okay.
So I want you to just do a sitting trot, not for very long, and then prepare your transition downwards.
Downward, okay.
So as you go ready for the upward transition, you need to bear down, and probably a 6 or 7 or something.
So much more, no lower leg on, no ankle
Well, you'll
on.
need lower leg for the transition, but that's
Down,
it.
okay.
Yep. But think about, can you just pick yourself up a little bit? You go, I'm bearing down, I'm thinking trot. Will he listen to that? It's like you get ready in your body, and then he should go, oh, she's ready. I'm probably ready too.
Sure. Okay.
And then you don't need a whole lot of aid. You still want to put your leg on, but you want him to listen to what do you think? Yep. Good. Bear down. It's ready there. Thighs are firm. Sinking straight down, down, down. Now get ready. Close your thighs more. Breathe out more for your downward transition. That was really good. A little bit your upper body fell behind.
Yes.
But much more soft into the seat
Yeah.
and plugging down. Do that one more time. And if it's good like that, we're going to stop. Bear down, match the forwardness. That's okay. Bump and release. Leg. There's a little bounce. So you got to breathe more. Soften your hand. Yeah. Tuck under just a little bit. Now get ready for a downward transition. Breathe down more. So that one you did. What's that?
He did it.
He did it. Okay. I was going to say that one you didn't fall behind at all. You almost a little forward.
But it wasn't me.
Okay. So let's do that again.
Okay.
Bump release, thighs firm, breathe, bear down. Tuck under a little bit more. Yeah, that helps you to keep from bouncing. Good, and breathe out. Now that was the best one so far. You were much more plugged in.
More ease.
What did you do?
I breathed out
Okay,
and low, not so much like, but just a touch of the lower leg.
okay. And it kept him just flowing softly downwards. You didn't have a lurch, he kept going, and you didn't have to use much hand.
And I wasn't, I was thinking about it, but it wasn't like, ugh, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Before you were like, ugh, thinking about it a little bit, and everything got too tight.
Right.
And you held too much in your hands, and then especially on him, when you do that too much, you pull too much, he just pulls through you.
Exactly.
And he keeps running.
Yeah.
So if you give to him a little bit, you ride a little half halt, and then you signal through your body, a breathe out, firm breathe out, like a and you just plug in better, and he just goes, oh, we're coming back. Good, you can have a loose rein.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.